Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching GEEKCASTER, everything sci-fi, fantasy, geek culture, everything you geek over. I'm Michael and today we have in the studio.
I'm Kristine.
Jade.
I'm Jade.
Jade, just like the letter J.
And soon as there you go. About to say you got to unmute yourself. So today we're going to talk about Star Wars, everything that went wrong, / a fan perspective. So we're all fans of Star Wars, whether little or large, but we all love this world that George Lucas has created. But there are tons of little fingers that have extended and stretched this world. Pluses and minuses. So let's go back. Let's go to the introduction to this world. Someone has a script. They filmed with everything going wrong. They finished the film, and it was allegedly trash. People said, burn the negative. We're talking about George Lucas. His wife says, hey, we could salvage this. They sit down, they edit it, and we have this concept of the blockbuster taken to the next level, toys franchised thing that we love called Star Wars. And this all started, 1977?
In the theater, yeah, but 74 when he started writing it.
There you go. So let's start out with you, Jay. From then to now, we have just all the spin-off series, the anime. Where would you like to start off? Where did we go wrong? What went wrong with Star Wars?
We only have a half an hour, so I'll try to make it really brief and concise. They sum it up for me. I don't care what happens now in Star Wars because I know how it ends. So they can give me The Mandalorian, they can give me Ahsoka, they can show me anything in the world. I know it ends with Rey and Palpatine. So it has nothing for me anymore. So I just stick with the earlier films. That's my sum up of the thing without going into major detail about it. It ends with Rey and Palpatine, which means that everybody that died didn't matter. Vader's sacrifice didn't matter because everybody's a Palpatine, which includes Luke, because they're grandchildren, Leia, Anakin, and Rey, the Almighty. So yeah.
Now,
he's not wrong.
Now, this is from the books?
No, this is the film. From the film.
Yeah, that's the
last
film.
sequel.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The reason why I asked you that because everyone is, there's all these rumors, Palpatine's magically coming back, and and Rey, and...
So I know they are continuing Rey's story. They announced that at Celebration this past year.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to include Palpatine or what it's going to include, but they are continuing with the actress that plays Rey.
Yeah, and if I wanted to go deeper, that place was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but they're putting our issues into the film when it comes to the female thing and the thing, and Leia put hands on somebody. The only time she ever raised a hand to somebody was to smack Han, and that's because she was in love with him, but playing it off. She actually smacked Poe Dameron, which pulled her all off her square. Everything that they did had, I'm not even in the machismo end of it. I'm talking just practical. Put it this way, when Leia showed up in that film, in the first movie, she didn't carry a sign saying that I'm a strong female character. She just showed up.
Right.
And she was like, get out the way, give me the gun, and I'm getting us out of here. She didn't have to force anything, and Leia became the fandom's princess. I wanted her to be my big sister, that type of thing.
Right.
Because she was Leia. But now it's forced. Every man is a buffoon, and every character, every male character who was a archetype or hero has been sacrificed at the expense of just to make the child look good. That's interesting. It's a problem.
So hold that thought, Jay, because I see what. So let's get everybody's thing, and then we'll jump in. So let's go with you, Kristine. What part of where Star Wars went wrong? This first thing that comes to your mind.
So I do agree with Jay that I do not like the sequel films. I'll be honest, I've seen them all once, maybe twice, and I didn't need to go back to them. But I blame that less on Star Wars as a whole and more on J.J. Abrams, who just didn't need to direct Star Wars movies. It just, but what I love, I love the original movies. I love the storyline of the prequel movies and have a lot of thoughts on them. That the storyline is there and the continuity is there from George Lucas. They're the films he made. But he's even quoted saying in 1999, people wanted me to make The Matrix and I didn't. And they're upset about that. And he told stories the way that he knew how to tell stories. And back in the 70s, it was new technology, it was progressive, it was mind-blowing. I can only imagine being a kid seeing that in the theaters. Absolutely mind-blowing.
But what went wrong in 1990? What went wrong?
Just the lack of continuity in the stories of the sequel movies.
Okay.
But then what I think is happening now that's so nice is you have Dave Filoni at the helm with the blessing of George Lucas, Jon Favreau in the side seat, and they are just doing it. For me, they're like Jesus and the Holy Ghost, and they are just here to save us from the nonsense.
The Trinity.
Exactly, the Holy Trinity, and George Lucas is gone.
Hold that thought. So Jade, first thing comes to mind, what went wrong with Star Wars?
Well, I can't speak on actually they're talking more on technical things. As storyline goes, I agree with Chris. I feel like there's a lot of holes because as much as they said that George Lucas claimed that he wrote these movies before he already had the story in mind. There's too many holes in the other movies for it to make sense. It doesn't make sense. Somebody didn't have a Bible. You know how they have the Bible, the storyline. There's a lot of holes in the storyline and big ones. I mean, when I worked in a comic book shop, and I know I definitely started a lot of arguments in the store with my theories of why there were such big holes for the big Star Wars fans who swore to me that it was the best story ever written. And I was like, well, I don't think exactly. So for me, it was more that. And I think that as writers, I think that sometimes, I also found this even in the Harry Potter movies, once you know there's a movie to be made and it's already successful, you try to start to make your story more about appeasing the fans than it is about making that story, and you can't capture that again. You either have the magic for the story or you don't. If you start to I know in the when the newer movie came out, and I can't remember the name of the one with introduced Rey. I remember everyone was so very excited. And everybody, I hadn't watched it yet because I like to forget about a movie so I could go in blind because everybody's talking about it, so it kind of ruins it for me. And when I went to see it, and then my friends were like, so what'd you think? And I'm like, well, it's hard not to like something when I liked the original A New Hope. There's a lot of things that are exactly the same. So how am I supposed to not like it? That seems a little ridiculous.
Hold that thought there.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So, come on, Wes. Is there particular, everybody seems to be on the same page overall what they're feeling. Is there a specific thing that just goes in your mind about where did Star Wars go wrong?
I just think Kathleen Kennedy, that's where they went wrong. That's where Lucasfilm went wrong. Now I understand why she got the job because she's a day one. She's been down with him for a long time. If you haven't already, check the documentary Light and Magic. It's on Disney Plus. It's a very good insight as to how Industrial Light and Magic got started and stuff like that during the whole time that Lucas was filming. Star Wars, but Kennedy was around since back then, so I understand why she got the job because he obviously trusts her. But I think a lot of the stuff that Jay talked about in the sequels and stuff. Obviously, this with her over it, I don't know. Like, I think Filoni should be the heir to the throne. He should be the next one. He goes out to Skywalker Ranch and literally, he's Luke and George is Yoda. You know what I mean? He goes and talks to George and gets, so all the stuff that we excited about, the Clone Wars, Rebels, if you like those shows, all that stuff came from Filoni with the blessing of George Lucas. And all the different shows now is, they should be taking. Of course, Fav, that's my dude, so he should definitely be involved because they just get it, man. They get it. They respect source material and they respect, so they're gonna always go there with it. What went wrong? Kathleen Kennedy.
It's interesting. So the moment for me, kind of, is a trinity of itself because it goes back to Phantom Menace. From Phantom Menace, I knew how they handled that film. I just knew the future wasn't going to be all right. The specific moment was, I could almost get over the Jar Jar Binks almost thing, but how they handled the whole metachlorians, right? I said, oh, no, it's only going, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? And we saw after the fact of trying to play cleanup. And Jay, I feel you. Like, there's so much that could be said, and you could do a whole money grab and create all these little shoot stories. I like Ahsoka, but there was no need to do that. There's really no need to create that character. There's no need to do it. Clone Wars. First of all, there was no need to really go back. I was upset that they went backwards. I felt that they could have kept going. In fact, a lot of the people that got rights and started writing all these books, they kept, they went further. Like Leia had kids and Luke had kids. We could have just kept going forward.
That's what I would like to have seen. I would have liked to seen forward instead of backwards.
Yeah.
They sprouted out from the origins of everything instead of going forward.
Yeah.
And doing this, because I want to definitely pass it to Jay since you started that whole frequency of it. I agree with you, Jay. It was almost like, if a timeline, look at my hands, we got this great piece of like dinner and dessert and, we just got bang, bang, bang. Then you went back. It's a little sloppy, a little messy. If you pay attention to the script, there's a lot of things that couldn't have made sense. Like the line, because you're Star Wars fans, anyone watching, oh, do you remember your mother? Yes. You never saw your mother. Well, how can you say, did you remember? Like, all these little things that didn't make sense. Well, we could have just neatly went forward. Now it's interesting. They went back. They kind of went forward. Then they went back again. Now you got to figure out what the timelines are. I know, Kristine, I know you like Ahsoka so much. I don't have anything.
Oh no, not just Ahsoka. I have a whole lot.
but anyway, Jay, am I on the right frequency of why you feel like the end, so why bother? Is that what you feel?
So for me, I'm a character-driven person. I don't care about the fight scenes and all that. I want to know why they fight. I want to know why they do what they do. Mm-hmm. So when they went back to the prequels, this is barring all of the CGI vomit. I don't have an issue with Jar Jar Binks besides the cultural thing that happened, that there was a huge mistake in them understanding the language and what they turned him into. Faux pas on George's part. He thought it was funny because it was but it wasn't. So but the through line was Vader, and that's my favorite character. So I needed to know how he became who he was. Learn how he became who he was. We also learned that from a certain point of view thing. We also learned how wily and sneaky Obi-Wan was. the things that he learned from Qui-Gon, because Qui-Gon would buck the system every time he could. Obi-Wan did the same thing when he lied to Luke. You can see it in his face, actually. And even though it's a retcon thing, but in Star Wars, when he asked what happened to my father, Obi-Wan shot this look like, I didn't expect the kid to ask me this, so let me lie really fast.
Mm-hmm.
He lied because he wanted to keep Luke away from everything. So I can't disparage the...
Did he lie?
Well, from a certain point of view. You know?
From a certain point of view.
All right, wait.
This is
Where I'm going to chime in. This is where I'm going to chime in, because when you're talking about whether he lied to him, but did he? The man's last name is Skywalker.
Nobody.
How much hiding was there done if Anakin Skywalker's kid is with his half brother? Where is the hiding? Where is the hiding?
Anakin was killed, as far as everyone was concerned, when he became Vader. They took those children and moved them to the outer realm.
I get that, but still, they gave
gave
Leia to the Organas, which made more sense. Why give it to a Skywalker? Why? With his last name being the same, Skywalker.
You want the answer?
Skywalker like Smith in a galaxy far, far away? I don't know.
You want the answer? It's because he was in the outer realm. The Empire does not go to the outer realm. That's why they put Luke out there.
Okay.
Far away.
That's fair. It's ruled by the
That's
Fed.
fair. I'm saying that's fair.
That's true.
That's why they put him out there. Because the Empire doesn't care about that part. That's like Kentucky or something to them. You know, I don't know.
Right, yeah.
Well, to the Empire, but the people hiding him, you would
The Empire is
more than giving him to a relative. That made no sense. You gave the boy to the relative, but you gave the girl to
Christine made a really good point, because that portion of the universe was controlled by the Hutts, was controlled by gangsters.
Right.
nobody was going there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nobody. That's why Luke was put there. Remember,
I get why he's put
he's
on the planet he's put on. I'm still debating whether or not he should have been put with a Skywalker. That's my and keeping his last name Skywalker. That to me is a big.
Oh, you mean she should have changed it?
Anakin.
They should have changed Anakin's last name.
Yeah.
They should have made Anakin, Vader or whatever his name is. They should have made something.
Anakin Skywalker is like mentioning the Kennedys to somebody who lives in Uganda.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Who is this?
I guess.
Who is this?
Who is this Kennedy?
Who is this Kennedy?
Skywalker.
He did his business with in Coruscant area, out during the Clone Wars, out there. Even
okay.
I'm
still not buying. I'm still not buying that his last name should have been Skywalker. That's still going to be a thorn in my side the whole entire time. They should have had the same last name.
And also remember, the Jedi Temple was wiped clean.
And Vader was too busy. Not just too busy. Of course, he
changed Leia's. Why can't he be Leia Skywalker then? What was the point?
Because she was raised by
hold on,
family.
Because I can't hear all at the same time. Say what you're saying, Wes.
So Vader, remember the reason why they never looked over there, not only because they don't go over there, Vader was too busy trying to hunt down the rest of the Jedi to take them out. And on top of that, he couldn't sense, because they were so far out there, he couldn't sense, that's why they split them up. He couldn't sense within them. Because you think about it, like a lot of people say, well, how come he couldn't sense that Leia was his daughter? Because Leia was cut off from the Force. You know what I mean? She wasn't raised in the Force.
She was right there.
Right, she was right there with him in the beginning of the movie of A New Hope, right? Mm-hmm. So, she was his prisoner, but she was cut off from the Force. She never learned the ways of the Force, stuff like that.
That's
of course,
what I got. That's what I totally understood.
So I just think
the Skywalker thing specifically.
If he would have sensed,
it's gonna stay with me forever.
If he would have sensed any one of them, then he would have tried to hunt them down. He would try to find.
I feel. Listen,
There's another thing, Jade. There's one more thing. When Anakin became Vader, he literally renounced his identity. So he was Darth Vader. Skywalker meant nothing to him until he heard the name of the kid that blew up the Death Star. That's when Skywalker. That's when his whole thing changed once he realized that he was the only Skywalker around. That must be my son. And that's what started him on that mission to go find that boy. Before that, the Skywalkers didn't even exist. He wouldn't go anywhere near Tatooine.
But so if Vader was as a bigger danger as the Jedi thought he was, and they should know because they're Jedi, right? Why would you even take a chance and still give him the same friggin' last name?
Jay, let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, you can't.
You will always stick him. You can't change my mind because that just doesn't work.
There were only two people that those children were born. That was Yoda and Obi-Wan, besides Leia's people, right? All the other
Jedi, the best opportunity to name him Luke,
all the
Mama Jama. He didn't need to be a Skywalker.
All the other Jedi were considered dead.
Right, but remember, his family was Skywalkers. They thought that he was their son.
They were his son. And Vader's arrogance and his evil in the Force wouldn't even allow him to consider that he had children anywhere. He wiped everybody out. The Emperor, well, that's why I wouldn't even get into him, because everything he did when it came to those next movies, it was pointless. That's what I said.
It was also Padme died. And so what thought would he have to be like, oh my God, did my children survive? He's like, no, I'm missing limbs, and my wife is dead, and now I've just renounced the religion I followed my entire life. There's a lot of trauma going on. And so I do not think it came to mind.
Wait a minute.
Oh, did my kid survive?
Hold on, you just did a really good point. Hold on, Jay.
Also told him that he killed his wife.
Right, but wait a minute.
Right?
Wait a minute. How does he even have, like, so for instance, Luke had the uncle and aunt, right? Skywalker.
Yeah.
Well, in the beginning of Phantom... Pardon?
Lars. It's uncle and uncle.
Yeah, they're Lars. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they don't have the same last name. Only Luke does.
And nobody.
And how often are you running around saying a kid's last name in the desert?
Right, but
maybe we know he's Luke Skywalker, but does the community know that's his name?
No, they don't.
Do they go around saying, this is our nephew, Luke Skywalker?
But wait a minute, in the beginning of Phantom Menace, hold on.
Skywalker.
I have a question, Jade. I have a question.
But that was Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan knew.
But Luke didn't go, who's that? He knew it was him.
Hold on a second.
He knew it was
You've lost control, Michael.
Time. I know with Jade that's possible. So, in the beginning of Phantom, Anakin and his mother, they were captured.
Yes.
Right? So he was kind of like an orphan. So would they even know, or even have relatives that they would know to even bring his kids to?
Like stepbrother.
Well, that would fall probably into more of a Legends question if they expanded on Shmi's story. Because all we really know is that, I mean, if you read Plagueis, you know that, like, Anakin's basically immaculately conceived. And then Shmi was just a slave. And you don't really find out more. You just know that they're slaves. And they're owned by that alien guy. And then Qui-Gon frees Anakin, leaves the mom, which is like, that's probably a bad part of the story.
So
that's the Jedi way. Jedi must leave their family.
So we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna switch gears because we only have 7 minutes left. So let's go with just a quick, and again, we could do a part 2 to this, which I think we're going to need to. Move forward. They're working on the script. Well, probably not right now because of the union strikes, but they're supposed to do a Lando Calrissian film, right? There are 3 Jedi films. There are 3.
Wes and Jay look disappointed.
Yeah.
Don't need it. Just like they didn't need a solo movie, they don't need this movie.
Yes.
There are 3 alleged Jedi movies that one has nothing to do with anything we've ever seen or heard. And there are other 2 that are supposed to go way back to, like, when there were a bunch of Siths and a bunch of Jedi.
Yeah, like, the Old Republic,
The Old Republic. Are we looking forward to that? Or... Because it makes
really, I mean, the Old Republic might be interesting because for people who played the game, so people might, play the video games and stuff. Maybe that might be a little interesting to them. I'm not mad at what Filoni and them are doing with Ahsoka because they're gonna eventually take them out of this galaxy that we all know and take them into another galaxy. So basically, that's like a free pass. Everything that happens over there just happens over there. So I thought actually that was kind of cool to do. Because he is so protective of the whole Star Wars lore. He doesn't want to step on no butterflies, so to speak. You know what I mean?
I get it.
Yeah.
They need a Bible. Somebody should be writing a Bible. I don't know where that is, but they need to write.
I mean,
They have a Bible.
They do. They do have
a Star Wars Bible.
Well,
They didn't want it. They didn't
Well,
want
I think
it. George had.
I think that's the best thing about Filoni is that he's so in love with the source material and really does follow that storyline, but he's also not afraid to bring in those touches of Legends and those great storylines that are out there. But George is like, that's separate. I don't want anything to do with that. I'm not gonna read them, and that's fine. But Filoni's like, I'm gonna bring in Thrawn in Rebels, and he could be this interesting new villain. And now he's the new big bad because they're always bringing back Vader, not in a future sense.
Mm-hmm. I say that wasn't Uncle George. That was Disney. They wanted nothing to do with expanded anything. Even everything. Disney said
they wanted to keep whatever was under George's umbrella because that's what they
want to pay anybody else.
Yeah, that's what they bought.
Now
look at the magic.
Now
look at the magic.
Now they gotta pull Thrawn in. They have to but they should at the beginning instead of hubris, having all that arrogance and hubris that they had. They screwed the pooch.
Yeah. When really if they just kept going along with what they were doing, like I'm sorry, Michael, I know you're a big fan, but like why haven't you watched Clone Wars? Like
I didn't get through all of it. I got through half of it. I didn't get through all of it.
You got to like seasons 4, 5, and 6 are some of the best television I've ever watched. I cried at the end of the last season.
I mean, it is awesome.
Like,
I wanted to just make a point real quick. I wanted to make a real point when y'all talking about this. I think it's just a suggestion that they need to have like a Lucasfilm school. Like directors should have to go through.
Yes, I agree.
Kind of like what Filoni and them were doing with the Mandalorian. They were pulling in a pool of directors under their tutelage, under their direction, but letting them be them. Right. And that's why all of those individual directors was really, they were nailing it, on their episode. Right. I think they need to go out there to Skywalker Ranch. They should have to go out to Skywalker Ranch, sit with the man himself, pitch their ideas directly to him, get his feedback.
They should. That's his baby.
And then go into it. Because other than that, you're going to get Abrams. You're going to get what Rian Johnson did. You're going to get, these guys coming. Rian Johnson's a good director, but he's a good director when it comes to other stuff. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Abrams is a good director, but when it comes to other stuff. So, had Abrams, I don't know how much time he spent with Lucas, but had they would have went through this Skywalker training or whatever you want to call it, Lucas school, if they would have went to that, I think it'd be much different.
Yeah, let's leave that right there because we're running out of time. Also, it would help if he wasn't writing Star Trek at the same time he was writing Star Wars.
Right.
But we'll leave that right there. Jay, what are your websites or IG? How can people get in contact with you?
Oh, goodness. The IG is Nerdgasms. NERDGAZMS. MM as in Michael, S as in Sam, Vegas.
Cool. Wes, what's yours? Real quick.
At the director, DA director.
Cool. Kristine, what's yours?
At cardinal.cooper with 2 Ks.
Cool. Jade?
At absolutely Jade.
Cool. And mine, Michael7 Michael. That's the number 7. You're watching GEEKCASTER. Thank you very much, everyone that's watching. If you're watching us on cable, we appreciate you. If you're watching us on IG, we appreciate you as well. You can always go to geekcaster.com or GeekCaster on IG. You're watching GeekCaster. We will have a part 2 next week. Everything that went wrong with Star Wars.